What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Board Games Are For Everybody, where today we're going to be talking about Here to Slay. This is a game by Unstable Games. They also did Unstable Unicorns, I believe was the first one that came out. And they also did, I want to say it's called Happy Little Dinosaurs. It's the dinosaur game that I can't remember the name of right now. I think it's Happy Little Dinosaurs. But the reason we ended up picking this one, we picked this one up completely on a whim, is more so the theme of than the other ones, because I am a big fan of dungeon crawlers and RPGs and stuff like that. So the theming on this one caught me a lot more than those other games did, and I figured that we would try it out. It wasn't super expensive, and we honestly lack a good inventory of card games, because if I'm paying, $30-$40 for something, a card game is not going to do it for me. That is a bit of a bias I have, which is ironic in this Board Games Are For Everybody. But like I've said before, just because I believe that everyone should enjoy board games. If they're enjoying it, that's good. But card games have just never really been for me, unfortunately. But a lot more recently, I've been giving a bit more of a fair shot, and I have surprisingly been enjoying most of the ones that I've played. So we decided that we would check this one out. So we picked it up. This one came out in 2021 down here. Unstable Games, and I believe T-Turtle, which is like a t-shirt website that I honestly have never heard of. I was actually talking to a friend, and they were like, "Oh, is this game by this T-Turtle company?" I was like, "Maybe." It turns out it is. So let's take a look at what's in here. We've done enough rambling on the cover of the box here, but this is a fairly simple card game, and we're just gonna go over kind of the mechanics and the rules and stuff. So first thing each player is gonna do, sorry, I just got distracted by the dice. I really like these dice. First of all, I like the kind of bluey marbling on it. It's kind of like a dragon scaly kind of look, but I also love the unicorn horns as the one. I don't know, it distracted me for a sec. Sorry about that. So the first thing each player is going to do is they're going to take this white deck of tarot cards, and they're going to choose one of these leaders to be the leader of their party. Each leader has a different class, like hero class. This one being like a paladin-esque kind of thing, some sort of holy defender. We got an archer, we have the magician, we have the bard, we have the fighter, and we also have a thief with the two daggers here. Now, if you are playing a two-player game, the rules say you are not allowed to use the Shadow Claw as your party leader, which is unfortunate because we only played it two, and my playing partner was like, "I'm going to play the Shadow Claw," and we were still running through the instructions, and I got to that rule saying that you're not allowed to use the Shadow Claw as the leader, and unfortunately I had already taken the hero that they wanted to take, which was the Divine Arrow, because, well, gaining +1 to an attack is really my style, but I also just really like the artwork on it. Something you will probably hear me saying quite a bit throughout this review is that I really like the artwork. The artwork is by, I'm not sure if it says on here, but we're going to find out. The artwork is by, no, it doesn't say it on here. It's probably in the manual. It's by the same guy who does the T-Turtle stuff, I'm pretty sure, who started the company. I can't remember his name, though. I can't remember his name. Sorry, dude. You have good art. I like it. It's good. We got our player references here. All that stuff. We have our main deck here. We got our things, but back to what we were talking about. I got distracted again. This is already a distracted video, apparently. Each player is going to choose their their party leader. So let's say one person decides to choose the Divine Arrow, which we're going to have down in the corner here. And let's say one person decides to play the Charismatic Bard. Is that the Charismatic Song? Oh yeah, okay. The Charismatic Song is his name. So let's say that the other player decides to play the Charismatic Song. I want to try and set this up so that we're not going to run out of space here, but hopefully that doesn't happen. We're going to put it kind of here. Hopefully we don't run out of space while we're going through these examples. So the rest of our hero cards are just going to go back into the box because we're not going to need them for the rest of the game. From this point, we're going to shuffle our monster deck, which, before we shuffle here, actually, let's take a look at some of these monsters, because, again, just this artwork. I love this artwork. We've got, like, the Bloodwing. We've got the Orthus. We've got the Mega Slime and the Titan Wyvern, which this thing actually looks very familiar for some reason, so I feel like I've probably seen this guy's artwork somewhere, because this specifically, maybe if it was a little more, like, chibi and a bit cuter, this looks very familiar. But yeah, we have a whole bunch of different monsters with different requirements for attack and failure and different abilities and stuff, but we will get into that in a sec. So basically what you want to do is you're going to shuffle up the deck here, and you're going to draw out 3 cards to create your monster pile. Let's just put this off to the side here for a sec. So we're going to have 1 card, 2 card, and 3 cards. We're then going to put this here as a deck, so when the monsters are slain, a new monster can take its place. We are now going to shuffle the main deck of cards. Now, this deck is comprised of a bunch of different things. We have item cards that give different effects and stuff to your different party members. We have hero cards that come in all sorts of different flavors. We have a hero for each different type, like we went over with the leaders. So we have a bunch of different heroes for mages, for fighters, for thieves, for bards, for the holy paladin-esque things here, whatever they're actually called. And there was another one, and the archers. So we have the 6 different hero types, as well as different items, such as beneficial items. There are some curse items. There are some modifiers, and there are also challenge cards. Now, that is something we will get to as we start kind of going through the game here. But basically what's going to happen is we're going to shuffle the deck, and each player is going to be dealt 5 cards to start with. So we're going to deal 5 cards to both players. And then the rest of the deck is just going to come over here, and there will be a discard pile that will be beside here. So the first thing that's going to happen on whoever's turn it is that goes first is they're going to take a look at their hand, and they're going to see what they've got. And basically, on a player's turn, they have 3 different actions that they can perform for 1 action each. What I wanted to say in that last sentence, that this is why I should have scripts for videos, by the way, but I think the unscripted way is the way to go, if I'm being honest. Players get 3 action points during their turn, and using those action points, they can do a bunch of different things. They can use 1 action point to either draw a card from the deck, to place a hero down onto their hero field. Now, players are allowed to have as many heroes as they want. I was going to add something to that, but there's nothing to add to that. Players are allowed to have as many heroes as they want. If they play a hero down, you'll see that at the bottom here, they have an ability that they need to get a certain dice roll for. So this one needs 11 plus. When you place a hero down on your field, you automatically get to roll to try and use that ability without having to expend an action point, which is something else you can do with your 1 action point, is try to roll for the effect on one of your hero cards. Now you can use 2 action points to try and attack one of the monsters that are up in the monster area here. Now, different monsters have different requirements to be able to attack them, and they also have different requirements when it comes to what dice need to be rolled for them to either be slain or what happens if you get less than this dice roll up here. Now, in this particular example, a player would have to have a paladin as well as a second hero of any class in order to be able to attack this Rex Major. Whereas for the Dark Dragon King, a player would need to have a bard and any hero class to be able to attack this. Now, with these icons here, if you have a specific hero type in one of the slots, you are allowed to use your leader. I guess I should use this one as an example because he actually is the bard. You're allowed to use your leader as part of the requirement for attacking that monster. However, if, say, this was not a bard, let's say we were looking at the Major Rex here again, where you had to have a paladin of some sort and any type of hero, your leader does not count as this any type of hero. So in order for your leader to count for attacking towards a enemy monster, they have to be one of the ones that is clearly displayed, opposed to having one of any type. And you can also, during your action phase, a bit sidetracked there, explaining rules, with using 3 of your action points, you can discard your entire hand and draw a new hand of 5 cards. So that is your actions. So let's say we're going through the first player's action phase here, and we have all of these different cards. We have a hero, as we described earlier. We have Whiskers, the mage. We have a magic card. Magic cards give you different powers and stuff depending on what they do. This one in particular is the Winds of Change. Return an item card equipped to any player's hero card to that player's hand, then draw a card. So say that the bard had a hero down that had an item attached to it, then we could play the Winds of Change to send that card back to the bard's hand. We've also got modifier cards. These allow you to modify your dice when you're making a roll check, or they allow you to hinder your opponents when they are making a die check. So this is definitely a take that kind of game where you're boosting yourself and you're kind of putting negative effects on your opponents, trying to make sure that they can't do the things that they want to do, basically. So say we'll do that in a sec here, because you can use these at any time. Modifiers can be used at any time. You can either use them on your turn when you go to attack, you can use them when your opponent goes to attack. Modifiers don't cost an action point to use. We also have challenge cards. The challenge cards allow you to challenge a card that an opponent plays down on their side. So you may play this card when another player attempts to play a hero, item, or magic card to challenge that card. So basically what happens in that case is if your opponent places a card down, let's just look at the hand here. Let's say that they were like, yeah, we're gonna put the Bad Axe Bear down here, our hero fighter. And we're like, I don't really want you putting a hero down. We're gonna challenge that. So what you would do in this case is both players would roll 2 dice. So let's say the Divine Arrow rolls an 8 and the Charismatic Song rolls a 5. So obviously we are 3 points ahead with the Divine Arrow. So this challenge would go through unless the Charismatic Song here was like, well, I have this modifier of +3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that +3 to my roll of 5, which is now going to give me 8. And they may also have, wow, this would have been the better one to play. Should have looked at the entire hand. Let's say they played this one here, which is a modifier of +4, which would put their 5 up to 9, which is beating the Divine Arrow by 1 point. So that challenge would no longer be effective because they've beaten that. They've beaten the Divine Arrow's roll. However, the Divine Arrow could come back and be like, well, I'm going to play this -2 against your roll, or it could be +2 to their roll. It wouldn't matter. But let's say they do -2 to the opponent's roll. So that +4 up to 9 is now only a +2 up to 7. So once again, they're going to be one behind this Divine Arrow. And let's say, because the Bard really wants to play that bear down, they're like, well, I'm going to use this modifier of +3. I'm going to go up to 12. You can't do anything, or up to 10, I guess. You can't do anything about that. And yeah, the Divine really has nothing else to do. They could, well, you can't toss challenges down on challenges. You're only allowed to challenge once per turn. So that would be it. All of these cards would end up in the discard, and the player would be allowed to place their bear down. Now, that would be the example if they had actually played the bear down, but they haven't done that yet. So what did we have on that side? These two were here. These two were here. So that is kind of how the whole take that aspect works. Now, going back to an actual player's turn, we should probably explain that before we get ahead of ourselves. Let's say that the Divine Arrow wanted to just place down Whiskers. The opponent decides not to challenge anything. We're still early into the game. We take our dice and we roll. We get 5 and 5, which is 10. Not quite enough to get the ability of Whiskers, which is to steal a hero card and destroy a hero card. Now, our opponent doesn't have any hero cards down, so that wouldn't have mattered anyway. However, you do roll for abilities every time a hero comes onto the field. So let's say we place our hero down and we have 2 actions left because we only used 1 action to put our guy down. Let's say we want to try and attack the Arctic Ares here, because you only need 1 hero of any type to be able to attack it. Now, we need either... we need a 10 plus in order to be able to slay this monster. If we get 6 or less, we have to sacrifice a hero card. So if we roll less than a 6, we're going to have to discard our hero card here. But if we roll more than a 10, we defeat this Arctic Ares, and it's going to be placed beside our hero here because we're going to gain the effect that's on the Arctic Ares. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's actually make a roll to see if we get 10 or higher. So we got 5 and 4, which obviously is only 9. That's not quite enough. So we'd probably end up playing down this +2 modifier. So we go up to 11 and we beat the Ares. Now, let's just say that the Bard chooses not to do anything for whatever reason. So this would go into our discard, and we would collect the Arctic Ares, which would then go beside our Divine Arrow. Now, just like our leaders have down at the bottom, we gain +1 to any attack we do against a monster card. So we actually wouldn't even have had to use that. Now, this is why you have to pay attention to your powers, because if you forget that you have powers that work, it's too bad. It's you used up your card. I'm pretty sure that's actually in the rules somewhere, that if you forget about a power, it kind of just sucks to be you. So we would have had +1 to all monster attacks, which would have made this 9 enough to kill the Ares. But that's basically what we're going to get with this Ares from now on, is we're going to get its power on the bottom of its card, which in this case is that each time you successfully roll to use a hero card's effect, you may draw a card. So outside of just being able to gain the hero's effect, you also get to draw a card. Now, the object of the game is to be the first player to have either 3 monsters on 3 monsters defeated on your side of the field, or you want to have 1 hero of each of the 6 different classes in your hero field. Now, that one doesn't include your leader. You would need a hero of all 6 classes in order to defeat your opponents with that parameter. So let's say we had these 6 different hero types here. Got that one. We need the thief. What do we still need here? We need mage, paladin, bard, archer, thief. I feel like there's something else that we're missing. The fighter. Right, the fighter. So let's say you have all 6 heroes on your field. You win the game. Alternatively, if you have 3 defeated monsters on your side, you win the game. This can be pretty hard, especially at higher player counts. When we played, we only played with the 2 of us, and the game went by really quick. Now, that is not always a bad thing. According to the box, it's going to take 30 to 60 minutes to play. That is not the case if you're playing with 2 players. It takes maybe 10 minutes, if that, in order to play a 2-player game. So what I would recommend, what we figured we would do for 2-player games, is that we would play either having all 6 heroes or having 5 monsters defeated. It just brings it up a little bit more. And that's basically it for the game. That's how the game works. You are placing your heroes down, you're attacking monsters, you're trying to stop your opponents from doing the same. You want to be the first person to either slay the monsters or have a fully diverse party of heroes questing the world. But yeah, that's pretty much Here We Slay. Very simple game to get into. I know we kind of went 20 minutes. Geez, we went on for quite a while with a bunch of different rules in there, but it's not as complicated as the length of this video would make it seem. It's actually very easy to get into. There are quite a few rules that you need to go through, obviously, but once you start playing, it's very simple. It's very quick to really get into. So for that reason, I mean, this is a card game that I actually quite enjoy. Like I was saying at the beginning of the video, I really don't give card games much of a time of day, especially when they're $30, $40, $50 games that only come with cards. But this one only cost us about $20, which isn't too bad. And I mean, I love the artwork. It's super cute. Like, how can you be mad at this unicorn in armor? And how can you be mad at this tiny fox with a telescope? I mean, come on. They're so cute. They're so cute. But yeah, I really love the artwork. I think that the game plays really well. I think with more people, you're definitely going to start hitting that 30, 40 minute mark. And I think with more people, the strategy and stuff definitely becomes a lot more interesting because the game's going to become a lot more chaotic based on what players have modifiers, what players have items, what players have curses and challenges and all that stuff. That's something we actually didn't quite go over was items. So I'm just going to do that super quick here. So we have 2 different types of item cards. If I can just find one of the other ones here. Here we go. Okay, so we have 2 different types of item cards. We have regular item cards, which can be placed onto one of your heroes to give them a certain effect. So this particular one, if you unsuccessfully roll to use the equipped hero's card effect, draw a card. So you could attach that onto any hero. Now, each hero is only allowed to have 1 item card attached to it, but it's going to give them that extra ability. Now, if that hero dies or is returned to your hand or discarded, that card goes with it. You don't just get that card back. So that card is permanently affixed to that particular hero, unless it's sent back to your hand, in which case you can play it down on something else. The second type of item card we have is cursed items. Cursed items, typically you're going to want to put onto your opponent's hero cards to prevent them from using their powers or having certain benefits. This one in particular, the suspiciously shiny coin, which this one was the peculiarly rusty coin, so that's pretty funny. I guess we didn't shuffle all that well. Is that if you successfully roll to use the equipped hero's card effect, discard a card. So you would want to put this on one of your opponent's heroes to prevent them from potentially wanting to use their powers because they would have to discard a card from their hand. And that's pretty much how the game works now that we've gotten those items out of the way. like I was saying before, really easy to get into. I actually quite enjoy it. Love the artwork. I think it's a really good presentation. I love the theming of it. I like the dungeon crawling, the fantasy adventure thing. And I am a sucker for cute animals, so that's just me. But yeah, that's Here to Slay. If you guys have played it, let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you have not played it, but this video has made you kind of interested in maybe checking it out, let me know that down below too. It's always interesting to see what games people decided to try out based on the stuff we've covered on the channel. If you guys are on Instagram, check us out at the Board Games Are For Everybody Instagram page. We post photos of games that we're playing. We post photos of games that we pick up outside of the monthly pickup videos here on YouTube. You can always see what stuff we're picking up and kind of going through on a daily basis or weekly basis whenever we end up getting them. But yeah, check us out over on Instagram. And that's pretty much all we got for Here to Slay. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully I will see you all next time. But until then, just remember that board games are for everybody. Hopefully I'll see you all then. But until then, peace.